Get ready to quit the bill.
Here we go.
The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno and Nick.
What it do? Welcome to the QTV podcast. We're so glad you could join us. My name is Bruno, and with me as always is my childhood friend and co-host Nick. Colin the Airstrike. How are you, sir?
I think we should be calling you Colin Airstrike because you're the one running our YouTube channel. And of course, I'm guessing that you went with that name because you sent me a message on Facebook just earlier today, and you were like, hey, you might want to check the YouTube channel. I'm like, okay, let me go look. And our highlight clip, the one about little Jimmy calling in an airstrike on GTA Online,
Yep.
It was featured on YouTube Shorts.
What it do?
Yeah,
right?
so we got all of a sudden like we're getting views in the 5 figures that happened like overnight. And we're just
thank you, YouTube.
So thanks YouTube, and thanks to everyone that's been checking that out. And I guess that's a good plug for our YouTube page. Just search for Quit the Build there, and you will have access to all of the podcasts if you like to take that in video form. But also we have those sultry highlight clips.
Yep, that's what they like. Mm-hmm. And we're here to give them to you. And not only are we here to give you that, but we're here to give you all of the gaming news. That's what Quit the Build is about. We just love our community, and it's growing every day. And we appreciate all of our listeners out there for helping us grow, for submitting feedback, giving us reviews on Apple Podcasts. In fact, we're actually doing a giveaway for our listeners who write us a review on Apple Podcasts. You have to actually write a review so that way there's a name attached to it. But once you do that, you're going to be entered into a giveaway every month where we do a gaming merch giveaway sponsored by Pearson Limited. And today's podcast was sponsored by Pearson Limited as well. For marketing media that works in bespoke design to power your business, visit pearsonlimited.com. So without further ado, we have a huge episode today because not only did PlayStation come out and say, hey guys, we're going to drop the State of Play. I love the name, by the way. Very clever.
It's a good one.
And Nintendo, let me back that train up. Pokemon, which everyone knows is pretty much all, is part of Nintendo, right?
At this point, I would hope they would.
Yeah. So Pokemon released its own like Pokemon Direct, and even Post Malone was all up in this piece. So what do you have for us, Nick?
Yeah, Post Malone. I think like Katy Perry is supposed to put out like a special song or something. Like everyone's going crazy for this Pokemon anniversary, which you love to see, right? 25 years. Of Pokemon, and I still remember. We keep saying that, and we'll continue saying that. That we're crossing over that threshold of being like, okay, oh boy, everything's like double digits years ago. I remember picking up Pokemon Red, as a kid, and on my classic Game Boy, and just there was no other game quite like it. And, it's been so cool to grow up with the franchise. Oh, yeah. And just go from, the old days of having to use like a Game Boy Link cable to trade your, Pokemon Red and Blue to, all of the just generation after generation of things to just the whirlwind of a year that was Pokemon Go and seeing so many people that share a passion for this. And I'll say this much about Pokemon fans, Bruno. They are passionate. Just like any other Pokemon reveal, the reviews have been mixed from the community because just everybody wants so many things from Pokemon, and very, very seldom do those desires kind of line up with the same thing.
Right.
And especially after Sword and Shield kind of came out, and it was okay, but you could see that it was a rushed product. People are very skeptical of what Pokemon has to offer.
I don't want objects as Pokemon, Nick, okay? I don't want a sword and a shield. I don't want a sword with eyes or without eyes. It's Pokemon. I don't want that. That's not what I want. Don't turn this into Digimon.
Oh, okay.
Like they just evolved into random things that you're like, it started off as a dinosaur and now it's a cheetah with wings.
Yep. Oh, now it's a dinosaur again with a hat.
Now Bouncing dinosaur with a hat. That made all the difference.
Yeah.
I'm so glad the designers threw that in there. So I want cute Pokemon that start off cute and end up vicious as all get out, like Charizard, right?
Exactly.
Like that's what I want in my Pokemon. I don't know about you.
I like the objects. Maybe the next Pokemon games can be named like Pokemon like Lamp and Fork. let's just go with like household objects for the
well,
Pokemon series.
It's gotta be two of the same thing. So it's gotta be like Fork and Spoon.
Yeah.
And then they'll come out with one years later
Spork.
is Spork. Yeah,
Spork,
of course.
Pokemon Spork.
Yep. Man, I tell you, you know what they say. Great minds think alike.
That's right.
Or idiots seldom differ. Whichever you prefer.
Ooh, that's a good one. So yeah, our Pokemon Presents came out with a lot of big reveals and more information about games that we already knew things about. And we'll just go right down the list here. The first big one was, of course, the reveal, or rather the additional gameplay and information about the upcoming Pokemon Snap game.
Oh,
that we're going to be getting on the Switch. And,
taking some pictures.
I'll tell you, there's really not a better time for a new Pokemon Snap game, especially in the midst of a pandemic where we're all stuck at home and we wish we could travel. There's this kind of new market for, exploration-based games that make you feel like you're somewhere else. And I mean, video games have always done that, but this is definitely going to have that kind of tourist feel to it, being on rails and just kind of letting the game happen and just taking photos of what's going on, And that gameplay video, it was just beautiful. We got to see all the different biomes and learn more. It's not like there's going to be some crazy gameplay, change to what we remember from the Nintendo 64 version. Did you ever get to play that, Bruno?
I did. I got to. It was like a little roller coaster game where you basically are set in this car. I don't know what it really was, and you go throughout this level, and you can take pictures of different Pokemon, and you got better ratings if you gave them something like fruit or caught them doing something that maybe they, I don't know, maybe in a battle or whatever. So yeah, it was really fun. It was definitely different for the time. I don't know if that came out the beginning of I think it was towards the end of the Nintendo 64's lifespan, but I had that. And do you remember Pokemon Stadium as well?
Stadium was insane. I mean, it was you're seeing all your Pokemon come to life in these big 3D battles, and of course, having that pack where you could put your Pokemon Game Boy game in there, and actually bring like your team in there. I mean, you can't beat that. But
that was legit. Yeah. So I was definitely more of a fan of that over like the Pokemon Snap. But I gave it a whirl. I ran around took pictures, did the thing, got the T-shirt, and then moved on.
I was saying on one of my tweets for the Quit the Build account, and follow us by the way at Quit the Build. It's a very spicy account. We're posting all manner of things. That we were talking about how much, or at least how much I missed the, back in the day with Blockbuster, when Pokemon Snap came out, there was these machines, like these big boxes.
You say Blockbuster?
I said Blockbuster.
Oh my gosh.
We're going there. We're going there. They had a limited time deal with Nintendo.
For those of you who don't know, Blockbuster is like Netflix, but instead of getting unlimited things, you can only choose one.
Yeah.
And it was only for like a 5-day period if it was something old. And then it was like 72 hours which was really weird. It was like, it was a specific time. Like, God forbid you get there after 6 and they're like, I'm sorry, sir, it's going to be another $5. What?
They got you.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
It was in the slot. Brenda, come on.
Run the tape. Yeah, so I guess they had a limited time deal with Nintendo where they created these big, they almost look like arcade machines where you could bring in your Pokemon Snap cartridge with the pictures that you took saved on it.
What?
And you could pay like $5 and it would go through and you could select up to like 10 of your pictures that you took in the game, and it would print them as like little stickers.
Whoa,
it was the coolest thing, man. Especially at that age, being able to I was like really working get the perfect. When I knew we're only gonna get one shot of this at Blockbuster. Dad's not gonna pay for this more than one time. So I got to get my money's worth, right? So, and then I took my grade school Trapper Keeper and just decked that thing out with Pokemon Snap stickers. It was really fun.
Nice, dude.
So,
I think I remember that.
yeah. I posted a picture of it on the Quit the Build Twitter, and nice. That's definitely the kind of feeling that needs to be evoked again. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to enjoy that casual friendly approach. I would say actually out of all the announcements we've gotten from Pokemon, that's still the one that I am the most hyped for overall.
Well, I mean, I'm personally pretty excited about Diamond and Shining Pearl. I played that on DS. That was one of the first games I think I played on the DS, and I really, really liked it. I liked going around in the Sinnoh region. So seeing that kind of being remastered and brought back to life was adorable. I loved the little chibi characters. They were short and fat.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm, the overworld sprites, like I'm glad that they did that because the long jankiness, I don't mind like when we're close up battle, but in that overworld thing, I want them to look short and fat and cute. I don't want them to have all long. They look like they were middle schoolers.
Yeah. And
they technically were because they're like 10, 11-year-old trainers, right?
Right.
But I mean, I don't know if you ever hung around middle schoolers. This is usually not a thing that 30-year-olds do, but if you're like a youth group leader like I was, then you get to do it. And they go through this like awkward stage right around that that age where they start to like grow in awkward ways, and it just becomes really weird.
It's evolving.
It really is. It's evolving. It looks so awkward.
Yeah.
Like your voice starts to change at that point. So yeah, that's literally what it is. Middle schoolers are evolving at that stage, and it's instead of being like a like a 3-second blinky blink thing, it's like a 3-year blinky blink thing where they all of a sudden
very
turn,
long
like,
and
whoa.
very awkward with no button to cancel. Yeah.
Yep.
You can't undo that evolution.
Gotta do it.
Yep. But yeah, I that was also, of course, the next big reveal is, of course, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is it's very interesting how. One of the biggest things that people thought, or the most common things people thought was going to get announced, was going to be the equivalent of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee that came out for the Switch earlier, but just brought into another generation of Pokemon, because those games sold very well and they were very popular for the way that they blended like Pokemon Go style gameplay, but also kind of let you recapture the magic of the first gen of Pokemon. And it was a great game. I definitely enjoyed playing through it. But this was kind of a different direction. It's almost kind of the simplicity of Let's Go in some ways, but almost mixed with like that Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake that they did, where you kind of have that cutesy art style, not quite the claymation.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it looks adorable.
Oh yeah, I mean it's and you're right. I think Pokemon sprites in general. There's something to be said about keeping it old school with the limited size sprites that they used to have to draw these characters in, and they all end up being kind of short and pudgy. That it's endearing. It's a really cool art style, But it's a gen that I didn't really get to play. I stopped playing Pokemon games after Gen 3. And really didn't get back into the series until actually Sword and Shield, to be honest.
What really excites me is the announcement of Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
And apparently that's the way you're supposed to say it. There's a press release about it, I guess.
Yes.
We Googled it,
yes.
yeah. So it's Arceus.
Don't add us.
Yeah, so don't add us about that. But that looked really cool. I've been wanting an open world Pokemon game, like a next gen Pokemon game, for some time.
Yeah.
And I think this hopefully could be it. I wasn't too impressed with the gameplay that I've seen so far. It looked very bare bones, but seeing as it's not coming out until they said 2022, it gives me hope that maybe they can take some of the assets from Pokemon Snap, because Pokemon Snap looks great. Like that looks awesome. So if it had the same feel or the same look of Pokemon Snap with these lush environments that I could kind of go around, and in an open world scenario, then I would totally be on board with this.
Yeah.
You're kind of iffy. What do you think?
I think that out of all the announcements that we had today, this was definitely the one that people really weren't expecting. And so, and people still have so many questions about it that it's really tough to form an opinion on it right now, just besides your initial hot take reaction. And here's the thing about this game. So on the surface, it appears to be kind of blending Breath of the Wild visually and gameplay style-wise, right? It's going to be the first true open-world Pokemon game is what they're touting it as, action RPG that is trying to kind of bring Pokemon into the future by kind of going into the past, right? This is supposed to be like this is a bygone era of Pokemon where even like the Pokeballs that you throw are like made of wood, I think. They're like almost steampunk, like wooden creations. if those are two things you can fuse together, I don't know. But yeah, so what we're seeing here is just a lot of interesting gameplay concepts that seem to be pretty divisive. And there was a tweet that made me crack up saying like, nobody hates the Pokemon reveals more than Pokemon fans. That it does seem to be extra salty whenever these announcements come out because people have been talking about an open world Pokemon game for a very long time.
Yeah.
And
one since the beginning, for sure.
And if anything, we've seen now that Game Freak is probably not going to be the company to get us there, because Sword and Shield, one of the biggest complaints is that it was largely a game on rails. They're moving from town to town. There wasn't really a whole lot of interesting things you could do in between. A lot of the towns were connected by these, just linear like caves and that kind of stuff. And the only times that you were really in an area where it really felt like it was open world, or at least what it could be like, was in what was called the wild areas, where it was like you could actually see other players. It was like an online zone. You couldn't really interact with them too much, but you could like participate in raids where like you and like three other people would fight these, ginormous Pokemon. And that was cool, but that gave us kind of a sneak peek of what it could be like if there was a true open world Pokemon game. But it's interesting. Like there's a couple of things that we see in the trailer that deviate from the standard Pokemon format. Like you see that the trainer is actually sneaking up on Pokemon and throwing the balls to catch them without actually getting in combat, like to weaken them, right, and catch them. This is something that we saw in, of course, both Pokemon Go, but also mirrored in Pokemon Let's Go, where the same thing happened. You would only throw the balls. You wouldn't engage the Pokemon in combat in order to whittle it down. And it's an interesting choice, and it's one of those things where I'm definitely reserving my judgment. I don't really have an opinion on this game. What about you?
Well, I mean, I personally have really wanted something like this for a long time. So seeing this is an instant buy from me. Like I will definitely, and I see what you're saying with the wooden Pokeballs. It does have a very old feel to it, which I think could be really fun. So for me, as somebody who doesn't own the Switch, I'm hoping that with the release of this, there will already be the Nintendo Switch Pro, because we've talked about controller drift for so long that it doesn't make me want to buy a Nintendo Switch right now. I don't want to and not only that, but the fact that I have to fight everyone for it online to actually get one doesn't make me want to spend $300 and just, bite the bullet and grab the console, especially if they're touting like, oh, we're going to eventually have Nintendo Switch Pro come out. Yeah. And so I think I can wait for this game, but this is definitely something that I would want. The trailer does look very bare bones right now. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully that's just because it's so new. Like there's not much going on in this region. It's very, very open,
right,
in terms of the area. There's not a lot of towns that you're actually coming in contact with or seeing. It just looks like a lot of wilderness. Yeah. So I think it has potential. And if Nintendo decides to take the same approach to gaming that these other gaming companies have, like Fortnite and Call of Duty, with things like Warzone or just ongoing updates, like we can even talk about Overwatch, how basically they've created a community that plays a certain game and then continue to feed that game. That would be truly amazing and what fans would want. Mm-hmm. But that being said, that has never been Nintendo or Pokemon's MO.
No.
They want to get as much money as possible. So I don't see this as, I see Pokemon Legends Zapdos coming out, and like just
right.
different legendary type of game titles that come out that maybe hit different regions and different time periods, and it's all very cool, and it plays off each other. But you're right, I think this is a good start for an awesome series, but I don't know if this is going to be the one that every fan has been waiting for. I think this is a budding start to a great series of games, and hopefully they really itch the RPG factor in there and the open world factor that some of these other games that we're going to be talking about right after this break.
Hello, is this Irma Fu...
Nick, what do you want?
Of course. Well, Irma, I'm calling to talk to you about podcasts. If you haven't heard, Anchor.fm is the easiest way to make a podcast.
I don't have any money. I don't want anything.
Well, with Anchor, you don't need any money. It's absolutely free, and you can record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Is this a cult? I don't want any Kool-Aid.
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of. Podcasts are like radio talk shows for the internet, or talkies, as you might know them.
Listen, young man, I am not that old, but I do remember them, so touche. Whiskers, will you get out of there? Jeremy, clean the cat box. He needs to get a job. 40 is too old to be living with your mother.
Irma, I couldn't agree more. Jeremy could make money from a podcast. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more.
Okay, I'm hooked. No one would listen to Jeremy. He's not very smart. We all know I have the sexy voice that lures the gentleman in like a sexy siren mermaid lures in burly bearded pirates.
Well, you can get started today. Just visit Anchor.fm for more details.
And we're back. That was an interesting ad, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. So I was actually pretty impressed with some of the stuff that PlayStation had to announce with the state of play. Do you want to go ahead and dive into that?
Might as well, yeah. And like we were talking about on a previous, our last episode, rather, you know, that the stakes are pretty high for Sony, and were high when they did this state of play because, you know, like we had talked about, there's such a reliance on those exclusives and you know, first, second, and third party, just games that are, you know, that are coming out on PlayStation. That it's important for them to give, you know, the people that are still trying to beat the bots a reason to, you know, make that MSRP purchase of a PS5.
Yeah.
And you know, I think overall we got a decent showing. I think there were some highs and lows, but overall there's some things that, you know, even myself as someone that doesn't own a PlayStation 5 that I'm going to be excited to see come out and learn more about as time goes on. So Final Fantasy VII, a number of things happening with this one. So I think more people were expecting a Final Fantasy XVI reveal, which we did not get, which probably means we're not going to be seeing that until at least like mid to late 2022. And I get it. You probably don't want to put stuff out there that is going to come out way later. You know, people want to hear about games right now because, you know, like we've been talking about for both Xbox and Sony. With the PlayStation, there's just not a whole lot of a reason to get those, not a whole lot of games to choose from on the next-gen side. And so they are bringing the Final Fantasy VII into next-gen with what's called Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, where, first of all, it's a upgrade for the graphics, and you'll be able to, if you have a copy of the PS4 version, upgrade it to the PS5 version. And they showed kind of some of the side-by-side graphic upgrades that you'll get. Looks beautiful, great to see. You know, you want to see that, and especially when you have games releasing in between gens, you want that assurance as someone that's buying the PS4 version that you're going to be able to get that upgrade without any additional cost to you. Crash Bandicoot also did that with one of the first reveals, right? With the 4K 60 frames per second offering for PS5 owners with a free digital upgrade to anyone that owns it. So they also announced for that basically an extra DLC chapter, which features one of the characters that you meet later in Final Fantasy VII named Yuffie. And she is kind of like a materia hunting ninja that kind of works for a government and is a very charming character. People love Yuffie. And they are basically releasing extra content. Now, I have to say this is interesting to me because on our Quit the Build blog, we just talked about this. Justin, who's a huge Final Fantasy fan, we need to get his take on this because
for sure.
In that blog article, he was talking about how they had made minor changes to the end of what happens in the first chapter of this Final Fantasy VII Remake, and he's talking about like, hey, if you can change like even minor details, where does it stop? And I believe with what's going on with this Yuffie story, it's kind of like a prequel to where you meet before you meet her in the original games. That you're learning more about her story, and which is kind of interesting, right? Like it's cool that she's getting more of her story fleshed out. And the Final Fantasy VII story verse is very large. Over the years, many extra games have been released, like the movie, of course. And like the PSP title, there was a cell phone title for like flip phones that it had all this lore that
Motorola Razr presents.
Yeah, I think it actually was that. Yeah, it's cool to see extra stuff, but it's like okay, but that's not is this time that they could have been spent working on the next chapter instead of giving us just this little bit of extra content that people are probably going to crush in 4 or 5 hours. And then just wish that they had more.
I've never really been into Final Fantasy. I mean, when we were growing up, I remember you and the guys were really big into it. And at the time it came, I think it was like Final Fantasy VIII was like really coming out, and which is everyone loves that. So I never really got into that as like, a title or anything, but I know people who love it, and I understand the plight of fans who have something that's so near and dear to them and just want a proper remaster and then get duped into like, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what the original one was. This didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, as somebody who has played a lot of remasters, Nick, I would be very, very upset if at the end of, something like Mario, if they redid Mario 64, you're just like, you don't actually fight Bowser. You just talk to him and work out your feelings together. That would be so
Super Mario therapy.
Right?
I would watch that series.
You get to the end and you just have a choice, like a series of choice buttons that you can respond to. And if you respond right, you'll actually forego the battle. Yeah. You can talk
Pacifist
it out.
Run.
So,
that's right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for me, I don't know. I'm more of a shooter guy, so I'm into that. I will say I always wanted to play as Cloud, though, because that sword is BA. And anybody that can run around with a sword that's literally like, he just like found a piece of scrap metal from the shipyard and was like, this'll do, put a handle on it.
Sharpen that.
Yeah,
the Buster Sword.
So they just talk to the blacksmith and is like, throw a handle on this and I'll use this piece of scrap metal as my Highlander sword. So,
right. And I will say one thing about this is that that Yuffie chapter is going to be only if you have a PS5 version of the game. And this is where I think a lot of fans got a little salty because anybody who has the PS4 version of the game, and they said the reason why they said this is because the chapter is optimized for the PS5 graphics, so I guess it just wouldn't run on the PS4. So that kind of is a signal that they're kind of leaving the PS4 behind. Hopefully, the future releases, will of the rest of the game. I think they need to, but the question is, will they? Does Square Enix have the development capacity to do that when they're also working on other games?
At a certain point you have to, Nick, because I mean, look at what happened, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but look at what happened to Cyberpunk. We can't do this again. That's got to be the gold standard. Like we can't get into this pattern of games that are teetering on this gen and next gen. You just need to bite the bullet and say, sorry, this is a PS5 exclusive.
Yeah.
I understand, especially if it's not coming out for a while. You know what I mean? If you've got a little later on in the year or something like that, and you're able to address the issues, and I honestly think that if they didn't have a problem with production of the PlayStation 5, that they would have no problem in saying, yeah, this is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, upgraded or take it or leave it.
Yeah.
So I totally think that we need to just move forward and start to say, this isn't available on Xbox One X. This isn't only available on the Series X. This isn't available on the PlayStation 5 or 4. It's only available on the PS5. That needs to be the road that we go down. Just start biting the bullet now and start moving everything over, because otherwise we're gonna run into the same problem where these games come out, they're not suitable for the console that they're on, and that might be fine because honestly, like with not a lot of people having the PS5 or the Xbox Series X, you could arguably say in a year, projects or CD Projekt Red should have all the bugs worked out of Cyberpunk, and so it'll be a great game to play a year from now. But the hype's done, right?
Yeah.
Like it's come and gone.
Yeah.
So, and there's going to be other things that come out next year. So that's the other thing. Like, you're competing and you released your game in a time when there was no other competition, but even though there was no other competition, it still sucked. So what do you do?
Well, but look at it from the perspective of someone who's a Final Fantasy VII fan, right? That they have the PS4, they have the remake, they love it. They want to continue to buy the DLC and content that comes out for the game, and they're like most PlayStation owners, that they just can't get a hold of a PS5, and they're at the mercy of just be one of the luckiest people in the world to get it at MSRP, or you buy it from a scalper at 3 times the price. And, because of that, now they're saying, okay, well, hey, there's this really cool extra chapter, but you have to have a PS5 to play it. And that it puts, I get it. Like, it's not something that really Sony can address, because the whole semiconductor chip shortage that's happening right now is affecting, a lot more sectors than just gaming. These things are used in technology all over the place, and
even the president's looking into it. You are scalpers. Yeah. Your time is nigh.
Joe's on it. Here's
the deal.
Here's the deal. But it's definitely, I can see where people would get extremely frustrated, being like, man, I really want to play this, and I have the money for it, for a PS5, but I just can't get it, and now I could potentially just be stuck without it, while all of my my friends that have PS5s can play it. That's disappointing, but you're right. At some point you do have to make that jump, and you can't be, we can't let a pandemic let us be stuck between generations for another year. Like, I don't think the gaming industry as a whole can support that much longer.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Because you're seeing what's happening with these AAA studios getting spread too thin, trying to make up, a last gen and a next gen version of the same game. And I'm sure so much more work goes into that with optimization than we could ever realize. That we're just not getting the same quality games because they have to do so much more just to have the games run on more than one generation. So I get it. There's a lot of perspectives on it.
So not to kind of drift from this, but it kind of gave me a thought of, Microsoft and EA are buying up all these small studios and trying to get them under their own banner. And I think that, if you would have asked us like 5 years ago, if whether or not Bethesda would be owned by Microsoft, we'd be like, yeah, right, no way.
Exactly.
Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But when you're in dire straits, right? Like, you kind of have to do what's good for the gander and not just what's good for the goose.
Yeah.
So you have to bend what you may have initially taken a stand on and say, well, we might end up being a part of this company. So somebody like Ubisoft could very well get bought out because they can't support what they're doing during the pandemic of everything, and they might need the support of somebody like Microsoft or Sony or EA or anything where and I think that mergers that may not have been a thought or possible 5 years ago might be considered this year because, like you said, gaming is struggling right now because they were struggling before. Let's get that out of the way. Like, crunch times were a thing that was happening before the pandemic.
Yes.
So the pandemic only exacerbated that problem, right? What are you going to do, now that we're a year down the road and the same things are happening? You've got to make a change at some point. And when a company with as much clout as Microsoft comes to you and says, hey, we want to buy the studio and fund you, what do you think about that? You might consider it. So we might see more announcements in the summertime around the time of E3 of other acquisitions that have happened, not just from Microsoft, but possibly from PlayStation as well, and maybe even somebody like EA. So,
well, it's interesting that you mention Bethesda, because what very well may be the last major like AAA Bethesda release was also one of the big reveals that I loved watching. I didn't know a whole lot about this before, but boy, am I hyped about it now. And that is Deathloop.
Oh.
Yeah, so Bethesda's publishing the game. I forget who's actually developing it, but this game, every now and then a game comes along that just oozes style, where they're so confident and they know exactly what they're going for, and they just nail it. And I mean, this trailer blew me away. I am so excited about this game. I'm
Me too.
hoping it comes out on Xbox, but even if it doesn't, I'm not mad, because I think that it is a solid. It would be a solid exclusive for PlayStation. What did you think of that trailer?
So I will say this: there's usually a tell that you can always tell if a game is a PlayStation exclusive. They will have no problem plastering it everywhere on the trailer. So the fact that this doesn't say that it's a PlayStation exclusive leads me to believe that it's going to be available for Xbox and PC as well. So I let's just go ahead and get that worry out of the way. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Seeing the trailer, though, I got BioShock vibes, and then after I got the BioShock vibes, I was like, whoa, this feels like a spy secret agent type neo-noir game that we haven't really seen.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of different styles of gameplay and art styles in game, like cell shaded things in Borderlands, or the very postmodern type feel that you got from Outer Worlds with that like 50s space aesthetic. So I was instantly excited. With about a minute 35 seconds in, actually about a minute in, she waves her hand in front of her face and goes invisible.
Yeah.
And then 10 seconds later, she like goes full spy from Team Fortress 2 and like changes what she looks like.
Yeah.
I was into it from that point forward. It looks amazing. It looks like something that I've been waiting for. As a gamer, especially, an OG, an old gamer.
Yeah.
We have seen so many different things, and it takes a lot for something to really impress me nowadays.
Exactly.
And this impressed me.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it, and then you were like, hey, check out this trailer really quick. It looked awesome. It had that same, like I said, when you first saw BioShock and saw all the things that you could do in BioShock, and now I'm about 2 minutes in, and she's parkour running through this entire building and pops into these two guys who are just making waffles, and they get a grenade in the face. So I hope they were bad guys, but it doesn't matter.
Seems suspiciously domestic. Like what? Where are we? Is this a home invasion? I don't know. But yeah, right? And one of the things that I love about this, and I wish more games did, is having that signature soundtrack. In this yes. Gameplay, the record starts playing, and it's this amazing noir lounge style track that not only is really really catchy, and hopefully it winds up on Spotify.
Oh, for sure.
Of course it will. But also, it's the actual lyrics of the song are about the game. And
it's exactly like a 007 movie.
Yes.
The opening theme of all 007 movies are like the title of the movie, like Skyfall or Tomorrow Never Dies or GoldenEye, whatever. And so this is the same thing. It's got that same feel. You're right. Where you're like, this feels like the 007 we've always wanted. It's got high-tech stuff going on. The aesthetic of everything around has that 60s, late 60s, early 70s feel, but it's futuristic at the same time. It hits all the notes of nostalgia, modern gameplay, and then just I want it now. When is it supposed to come out? What's up?
I don't have an exact release date, but I'm just imagining the guys that are making the next 007 game. They were talking about this for a while, where they're looking at this trailer and they're just sinking down in their chairs, what the hell, man? Why are you doing our thing?
The heck, bro?
Yeah, that's
the heck were you trying to do to us, man?
We're the secret agent guys. You're right though. It does have that vibe, but with this really cool sci-fi kind of a plot twist of there's this never-ending loop, time loop that I guess the two people in the game that are going at it, one's trying to preserve it and the other one is trying to end it, break the loop.
Yeah.
And so that's a cool principle. And one of the reasons why I especially like the song that plays, a lot of music, a lot of that is in video games, or even soundtracks to movies. Like 007. Yeah, there's something like the title of it in there, or the title of the movie or the game, but oftentimes the lyrics to it can just be about some general thing about fulfilling your destiny, and it's not really about the actual plot of the game. And what gave me chills, and I don't get chills much anymore, Bruno, with new game trailers, especially if it's not an IP that I recognize, right? Where the nostalgia is what's triggering it, is at the very end, the lyrics say, "What do you do when the bullet is the same, but the kill is always new?" And I'm like, oh, what an artistic way to end that trailer after seeing all those cool action, first person sequences of, and trying to reinforce the idea of you're in this loop and, you're killing the same people with the same bullets, or killing different people with the same bullets. And I have so many questions about this game. I'm so intrigued. But very few games do that, where they have this really cool song that's specific to it. And
it does say PlayStation 5 console exclusive at the end.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Also available on PC.
Okay, so PC will get it.
Oh, yeah. No. Okay, wait. So it says not available on other consoles until at least 5/21/22. So there you go.
Timed exclusive.
So it's a timed exclusive. Yeah. I was gonna say, typically speaking, if there's an exclusive, they'll they'll preface everyone with it like this is a console exclusive. So if they don't start with that, then you can know that it's the time. So timed one, you know, that's fine too. Like I said, we're talking a year from now.
Yeah.
The odds of me getting an Xbox Series X are probably not going to be until holiday season. Like when Halo Infinite comes out, then I'll worry about it. So, and that's all I really want to play anyway. So not to go off on a tangent here, but yes, PlayStation 5 console exclusive for at least a year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good to know. And it makes sense for Bethesda. I don't think they want to be locked into any one console. But yeah, you know, I was also thinking of when I was talking about, you know, songs that have a specific, you know, a set of lyrics that actually involve the plot. I think of like Portal, like Still Alive, you know, at the very end, where like that's such an iconic song, and like you have to know about the game like to understand the lyrics, and that's so cool, where you feel like you're kind of in on it. And so few. I can only really think of like the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, where like you have songs like City Escape, where like the lyrics are literally about like what Sonic is doing, or like the rap stages that Knuckles did, where like he's actually rapping
around at the speed of sound. Yeah,
I still listen to that song. Like I love it.
It's so good.
It's so amazing. That it's so cool to have those types of songs that aren't just instrumentals and actually like reference, you know, the actual content of the game. So this went from something I had never heard of to an instant buy whenever it does come out for a console that I own. So, and you know, you were talking about how it's so rare for gamers to get that feeling of seeing a new concept that actually feels novel. And where I did not get that feeling was this Kena Bridge of Spirits. It looks just like another generic fantasy, you know, go out and fulfill your destiny as some kind of spellcaster. I'm sure the game looks fun in its own right, but I didn't really see a whole lot there where I'm like, oh, this is something that I have to have. I think, was it called Solar Ash? I got the same feel from the guys that made Hyper Light Drifter. That it just felt like, okay, like it looks interesting, but I don't think it was worthy of being, you know, having a slot in the state of play. But what was cool to see was Oddworld Soulstorm.
Yeah, it's cool to see a classic come back.
I wish I played those games. I've heard such good things about them. I really want to go back and experience those. And
that's another. See, that's what makes me mad about the whole like Sony PlayStation type deal versus Xbox, is that I feel like some of these exclusives that Sony had for the PlayStation, I want to go back and play, but I can't. I know I can't. Like, they're just not available.
Right.
And I would there's two games right off the bat that I would instantly buy a PlayStation 5 for, and they're PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, I can go back to ATV Off-Road.
Ooh,
I think that was what it was called, ATV Off-Road. And then there was a second one to follow up to that. I loved those games. I played the heck out of them, boy. And, you know, I miss them. And so to not be able to go back and play some of these, you know, it's disappointing. So when they come back, I think it's important. And I think PlayStation needs to realize that it's not just important to have exclusive games. It's important to bring your catalog of games with you everywhere you go.
Definitely.
Like, you know, I've got a big enough suitcase. Pack them up, boy. Let's go. I want to be able to play the games that I played when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and play them now as well. Not only with better graphics, but fix the stuff. If it was broken, fix it.
Yeah.
Like, you spent all that time going through all of the textures and all of the models to smooth them out, and you're not going to fix the one bug that was like game breaking back in the day.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, that can always be disheartening when that's something that doesn't get taken care of. Same thing happened with, I think, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where it got re-released, and like there's still some of the same bugs that plagued it the first time around. It's like, come on, man. Like, you knew. You absolutely knew.
You knew. You remembered.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'll be on the lookout for that. Being billed as a 2.9D platformer. I don't know what that means, but we'll find out.
Me neither.
And so one thing I am excited about is the next entry in the Five Nights at Freddy's games. I haven't played a lot of them. There's a very passionate fan base behind it.
Oh, yeah.
But the Security Breach, it's like a first-person game where like you actually have to navigate through this world. It's not like the traditional Five Nights at Freddy's games where like you're only seeing the game through cameras. You actually have to go through this, equivalent of whatever it's called, Chuck E. Cheese, essentially, whatever they call their version of it in the game.
Charles E. Cheese. Did you know the E stands for entertainment?
Charles Entertainment Cheese. Yep. That's.
I'm gonna tell my kids. His name isn't Chuck E. Cheese. I'm gonna tell him that he prefers to be called Charles.
Charles.
So that way when we go, they're like, Charles,
yeah.
over here, Mr. Cheese. I want my kids literally calling him Mr. Cheese. Like, he really likes it when you call him Mr. Cheese and Charles. He prefers those two. He's done with Chuck.
We're done with, he's done with Chuck. I love it. So the one thing that got me actually like hyped about this game, and I'm not usually big for horrors or jump scares in games, is that you're actually going through this, this kids play area, right? Of one area, it's like this massive, Chuck E. Cheese style play place, right? Where all the tunnels and ball pits and that kind of thing, and like something's chasing you, like crawling through the tubes to come and get you. I had some PTSD flashbacks, Bruno. This was back
DC
in my
Kids Zone.
Discovery Zone. I love it.
Do you remember that? The Discovery Zone? Yeah, buddy.
DZ, where kids want to be.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's not where I wanted to be because at one of my first jobs, I worked at Chick-fil-A. And I guess I was the guy that got roped into cleaning the play area at night when we would close. Boy. And basically, to properly clean this thing and disinfect all these kids crawling through, you actually have to send someone through this thing to wipe it down, right? And so one of my first nights, I guess the people closing were getting impatient because I was like detailing it too much. Sorry for caring. And
sorry for cleaning up kids' vomit.
Yeah, there wasn't that, thank God. I might have quit. But
I might have quit.
I actually got stuck going down the slide at the very end. No. So I got to the top, and I was trying to slide down, and I guess my the material of the shirt I was wearing got caught in like one of the rivets, and I was legitimately like stuck, and then I was like I'm like, okay, I have to make a choice here. Either I need to like tear this thing off, or just take my shirt off and come down, without a shirt, which is probably not going to end well. I'll never shake that, but I did finally get myself loose.
You should have just owned it. You should have just came down the slide and then done a pose right out the end, and then just been like, "What's up?" And then done your little eyebrow wiggle, or if you could do a peck dance. I mean, obviously do the peck dance, but the eyebrow
there were
wiggle
no
would
pecs
have been
to show. I assure you,
that would have been and just like cross your arms and be like, "What's up, baby?
Yeah.
How you doing?"
No,
something like that. That would have been fly, Nick. That would have been a story to tell. And so what happened? Did you rip the shirt? How did you get out of the?
No, I managed to just kind of wiggle out of it. But it was not easy. But I did slightly tear the fabric of the shirt. But that's no. If I would have come down without a shirt, Bruno, I would have been coming across the street over to Sears for a job with you, because that would have been. Lights, camera, action for Nick. Oh my God! But it looks like a lot of fun. So be on the lookout for that one. The other entries, nothing especially exciting. I will say that Sifu looks really interesting and really fun. I think there's always a good market for a fun, fast-paced kind of kung fu style game. And the gameplay from this looks fluid. It looks fun. Like who doesn't love to just beat the heck out of 100 other people in the same room?
Who doesn't want to grow a beard in your sleep? That's how I knew it was gonna. So I'm watching it now for the first time.
Yeah.
But I just saw a GIF of the guy growing a beard.
Yeah.
In his sleep, and I thought to myself, that is the most manly thing I have ever seen in my entire life. And I saw a guy get shot with a taser and then look at somebody right in the face and say, "I'm gonna get you, bish." And he took a this is a video on YouTube. You can see it. He took a taser to the chest, looked at a lady and was like, "I'm gonna get you." And there he goes. He just got knocked out and he grew a beard.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's turning into Sifu.
Yeah.
Oh, so I like it. It looks like some kung fu in here. It's very kung fu. Yeah, it's got some Wing Chun going on. But that looks really cool. So is this an exclusive as well?
I believe it is, but again, I don't quite know.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
It says it doesn't say. It doesn't say.
Yeah. I mean, I think the whole idea of most of the state of play is that, it's going to be as many exclusive as possible. So I'd say that the odds are high, but yeah, weird mechanic. And I think it was actually he got like knocked out. And then all of a sudden, like he grows the beard. So I guess he's just like a chia pet for facial hair.
Yeah, well, or just badassery. Like he just
a lot of testosterone.
Yeah, because when he first starts the game, or like when he first starts beating the crap out of these guys in this alleyway, which it looks like his hotel lobby. It looks like he lives in a very rundown slum. So this is just like his daily commute.
Yeah.
He's trying to go grab some kale or some butter lettuce, and he's got to deal with the freaking Jets here from West Side Story, right?
They're snapping.
They're snapping. Yeah. What's he do? He grows facial hair and his regular hair because his regular hair grows along with it. That would be very selective to just be able to grow. Oh man! Towards the end, he had like a full-on braid and it turned gray. So obviously, when you have to deal with this on a daily basis for a commute, you turn into a BA.
This whole game would be a great sponsorship opportunity for like Dollar Shave Club. And they're like, oh, don't you hate it when an entire beard just grows spontaneously? What are you gonna do? Oh, that's right, Dollar Shave Club. There you go. Get it on it. Get on it, guys. But yes, that's definitely one of the more interesting ones that just like Deathloop, I really wasn't expecting expecting to be wowed by for sure. So Knockout City, one that we know is not an exclusive, but man, Bruno, that last reveal at the Nintendo Direct got me excited for it. But boy, did this seal the deal, because the gameplay in this, and that's what we mostly got from this, is a much deeper dive on the gameplay. Oh my gosh, it looks so much fun. It's crazy to me thinking of all the ideas that have been exhausted in gaming, how we have not had a good dodgeball game. I remember there was like a dodgeball game for the NES, there was Super Dodgeball for the SNES, and I don't think there was, that's what I call it, big deal, big whoop, big whoop. I can't think of any other like well-known or even good or decent dodgeball games. Like, what the heck happened?
We didn't have dodgeball.
We had dodgeball.
School.
We did. Okay. Yeah, and I was the worst at dodgeball. like in the movies when that one kid, just gets absolutely pelted by just endless amounts of dodgeballs and like a slow like death scene style, going down screaming. That was me. Because as I'm sure you recall, I was just the worst at gym. I was like
gym in general, all of gym.
Yes, our class. It's so funny. Our class, even after you had left there towards like middle school, historically, and I'm sure we still hold the record to this day, we were the most unathletic class. Like in the history of our school, we had like Jimmy, and if you're listening, good job, Jimmy, because you held it down. There was no one else. It was just Jimmy. And he was really good at basketball, so that's good. But like we were useless to that school. They couldn't get us out the door fast enough, so
I love that. I just love the idea of a school hating an entire class because they're not athletic.
Like the graduation photo on the wall just ends up being Jimmy.
Just him.
Class of 2005, Jimmy.
It seems like a teen movie of just like a group of scrappy kids who are more into academics or chess, and just
that was us.
And their school hates them, and the school's like got the best basketball team in the state, and then you just got them, and they're like, we're the chess team.
What was amazing about it was afterwards, after we graduated, and this was like 5 years later, they sent out like an invitation that they would soon come to regret, where they offered to have like an alumni basketball game, where like anybody that had graduated could come and play basketball for charity, as a fundraiser for the school. And so I had said to some of my friends, I'm like, hey guys, how funny would it be if we all signed up for this and showed up, and we're just like the polar opposite of the Harlem Globetrotters. The polar opposite
the
Martinsburg like earth ploppers. you know, and just I don't know where I get this stuff, Bruno. He's gone. We've lost him, folks.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. We're not good enough to be globetrotting.
Yeah.
So we just are the Earth ploppers. This is our one and only gig, guys. So we better make it count.
Oh my god, I'm dying. That's gonna be our next T-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
But yeah, needless to say, they changed the rules after we signed up and like, oh, we meant people that actually played basketball. It's like, thanks. So you meant Jimmy. Go get Jimmy.
You meant Jimmy.
Jimmy, it's a one-man team. Yeah.
I played basketball in gym that one time.
Oh my god. So yeah, but you know, it's cool to see a proper dodgeball game finally coming out, and it looks like it'll be cross-platform as well. So this is going to be a day one must play for me. Yeah. But
the beta's coming out here in May, I believe.
Yeah, soon. So definitely going to sign up for that jazz. But and that's essentially it. There was also Returnal, which is kind of a horror in Dead Space style game set in like this almost like roguelike world that like changes every time you die, and it looked okay, but yeah, I think that the other entries definitely stole the show for this state of play. So, well, hey, look at that. We got through it all once again. This has been a crazy the 2 weeks, right? You know, Nintendo Direct, Blizzard's announcements, and then the state of play and the Pokemon news. So just a great time to be a gamer. A lot of news, a lot of hype. And it's great to kind of get that excitement going again for gaming, and hopefully we keep that momentum.
For sure. And we're just waiting on you, Xbox. We're waiting on you, Xbox.
Let's go.
We're waiting on another week where Valheim gets another million in sales, because that's happened every week.
4 million and counting.
Since we first broke the story. And we're not saying it's because of us, but it's definitely because of us. Probably because of our awesome website, quitthebuild.com. Man, we've got some awesome stuff on there. The new branding looks so amazing. Shout out to Pearson Unlimited for that. Yeah. And be sure to check out our community page, quitthebuild.com/community. That's where you can find us everywhere. You're going to be able to find us on Facebook. You're going to be able to find us on Instagram. You can join the Discord there. You can tweet at us via the community page, and you can check out the YouTube page. Not only that, we've got awesome swag. Official swag.
We got the swag
is
shirt.
Now on the community page.
Yeah.
It says swag. It's squad swag on there, along with some other t-shirts and goodies. So be sure to check that out. My wife and I just got 2 of the collegiate design shirts, and the quality was so good. Yeah. I would advise anyone out there to get a size bigger than you normally get, because they might run small. So awesome, very, very good quality. Anything left to add, Nicholas?
No, that's about it. Yeah, just make sure to check out the website and get with us on our socials. Definitely check out that YouTube channel as well, as lots of great clips that people are talking about, and yeah, great to do another episode with you, man. Great content as always, and looking forward to another one.
Man, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Thank you for listening, and be sure to follow us wherever podcasts are heard. We're out there. So until next time, which is going to be on Wednesday, we have a new episode every Wednesday and Saturday. For Nick, I'm Bruno.
And for Bruno, I'm Nick.
Peace out. What it do?